Hold on, I gotta water the garden. Hold on, I gotta water the garden. All right, we're good. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you like that intro. This is going to be about this hose setup that I have here. The last couple of years when I started this garden, I tried the soaker hose thing. That didn't work in the raised beds. It's too much of a pain in the butt. I actually drilled holes through the raised beds and everything. Last year I literally just pulled the hose out like you saw in the intro every day, every other day, and I went out there and sprayed it. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And in the spring, here in the Northeast, spring and fall, it gets pretty wet. So the ground is already soft. So I'm like, well, if I hit it in the spring, I can just bury these pipes pretty easy. So you'll see in here, I mean, this is what I did first, is my old sprinkler, or my old hose bib was leaking. Because in the Northeast it gets cold. If you forget, if there's some water in there before you shut it off, it'll freeze over. So I just replaced that with this one, which I'm doing in a separate video. But this hooks up to the timer, which is a Wi-Fi based timer, so it's actually connected to a gateway inside, and I'll show you later on in the app how we turn that on and off. And then this is just my regular hose, and then there's a shut off for each one of them. So then this hose, which I believe is a 20 or 25 foot hose, runs behind here, behind the hot tub, and then all the way over to that corner of the house right there. And I'll show you in the video, I'll insert the clips in here, but you'll see me just taking a spade, a flat spade, and just cutting a trench right through here, if you could see it, and then literally trenching it right down the line of the fence, and then right back to that corner back there, if you can see it. So you can see it comes up right back there, right by the garden beds, and then I ran it right along the top with a couple anchors to mount it. And then I'll show you in a closer look here, but it goes up to right there. So the nice part is, like over here, and then I just shoved that down in there. You see in the video here, it was super easy. And then I just tamped it back down. And as you can see over here, in this spot, it did dry out a little bit because it gets a little drier over here. So what I'll have to do is just throw in a little dirt here, and then I'll just let the grass come back over the top of that. But that way I end up with this little section here. So in the winter, I can just disconnect that hose and spray this whole line out with some air, and that will clean out this whole system. So that was the first part. That took a couple hours to one day, and then eventually it all dried out because that ground was really soggy, so it was nice and easy to just dig in there. Now you could dig a little trench too if you wanted, but here's my garden. So you'll see it just watered this morning, so it's nice and wet. So here's the setup. So what I did is I just bought what's called a Rainbird 1800. It's actually a lawn sprinkler. It's like one of those you bury in the lawn and it pops up. So it's a little pop-up sprinkler. Mounted that on here. It's got 1/2 inch thread on it. And then what happens is when that timer kicks on, that thing pops up, and it has a bit on it that's 180 degrees. So it shoots down the fence and then out this way in an arc, like a 10 to 15 foot arc. So what it does, you can see, is it just douses everything in here. This was just from this morning. So it gets everything nice and wet. I mean, even the ground, because actually there's drainage underneath here, so this water's draining through right now. But yeah, that's the system. And like I said, I put it on this timer, which I'll show you guys. And you can either flip it on and off manually. It actually measures or records the weather as part of the app, so you can use the weather. And it actually has a set delay for weather, so you can click 24 48 hour delay on the app, and it'll just shut it off. Now you could just use a regular timer, a simple time timer, and set it for 5 o'clock every morning and just be fine. But the problem is when you do that, then you end up with, you know, rain. You have to go turn it off yourself and everything else. So I'll show you the app here. So you connect to the Smart Life app, and then what's in the Smart Life app is this. and the duration is you set the duration of how long you want it to run. So even if you turn it on, it'll run for 45 minutes and turn off every time, so you don't even have to turn it off. It'll tell you when your last run time, your next run time. You can see the weather up here. The sprinkler valve does work on AA batteries, so it tells you the battery life, which is nice. And then here's the start button, the play button down here, that'll turn it on. And then you can go in and you can set the delay for the rain, so you can set 24 hour, 48, 72, or you can set your timer so you can add in your little schedules if you want. Say you want to do it twice a day, go in there. I have it set for 4:30 to 5:15. I could add another one if I want to do it at night, like say 7 to 8, you know, something like that. So you can just put those in there. So that's nice, and then it gives you the schedule of the history of when it ran and everything. So yeah, it works out nice. I think it was about 55 bucks on Amazon, so it's a little bit more expensive than a regular shut-off, you know, or timer. But I really wanted that capability. You know me and my smart stuff. I wanted to make sure that that thing was connected to everything else. So, and it was nice that I could use the same app that I already had, the Smart Life app. So that's it. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. I mean, I'm not going to get too much into it. Like I said, I threw those pictures in there of how I just cut into the grass and literally just pushed that pipe down in the ground. It's just 1/2-inch PVC, you know, and then outdoor glue. Like I said, it's underground. I wasn't getting too crazy, just wanted to make sure it was primed and glued. You know, if it drips a little bit, it's fine. It's underground, you're not going to notice it. But yeah, and then that sprinkler head, I actually bought an Orbit sprinkler head, and it just didn't work for me. I needed something different. And then I looked up these Rainbird ones for the lawn, and I'm like, well, if it sprinkles the entire lawn in an area, it should be good for the garden setup that I wanted. So I was originally going to have the sprinkler right on the corner there where it came up, and then do a 90-degree wave fan, but then I didn't know if it would reach all the way across, so I ended up having to move that pipe down to the middle of the whole setup there, and that way I could get that 180-degree one, and then it just comes out along the fence in a nice arc. So hopefully that helps you out. I'll link the Rainbird. It was on Amazon. It's $4 for that thing, and then I bought another bit, which is another 180-degree bit for like another $4, so it was like $9 with tax and everything for that sprinkler head. So it's super cheap setup too. And then the pipe, you know, it's PVC pipe. I think it's $8 a 10-foot for 1/2 inch, something like that. So you get a couple of those depending on how far you want to go. A couple couplings, a couple 90s, like you saw in the video. It's pretty simple. And then the hose was a couple bucks. I think it was 20 bucks, something like that, for a 25-footer. And like I said, the timer, I'll link it all in the description below, but I think it's a perfect setup. I don't have to do anything. It's set up just like I said this morning at 4:30. It came on for 45 minutes and went off. So now it's all watered. I shut it off yesterday because we had rain, so I just went on the app and I just hit the 24-hour delay. It just cuts it off one day. So instead of sprinkling yesterday morning, it just stopped and then just waits till today. So that's it. I hope this helps. I hope you're enjoying all the videos. I'm sorry it's a little slow here. It's been a month since the last one, but I'm trying to catch up, and I'm going to get a video out for that hose bib, and I'll talk about that in the video. But it's a neat, it's called Aquar, and I've been watching it for a while. That's actually a company that makes boat hose bibs for houses, and I like it because you just twist that fitting out and then it's shut off and you just close the flap. So it's great for the winter. I don't have to worry about going down in the basement and hitting the shut-off valve. So I have a separate video on that, and then I'm going to talk about doing fencing on that garden because I have lots of rabbits here, so that's why I had to do the fencing around there. And I'll do a quick video on that and how I use just old deck boards from my parents' house to just build a little fence around there. Alright, so I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.